I want to talk to you about Bharat. Many people know India about the big cities, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi. You'd be surprised to know that the top 10 cities in India just make up 10% of the Indian population. If you expand that and get to the next 400 cities, which include towns like Mysore, Trichy, these 400 cities all put together just make up 8 more percent of India's population. The remaining 82% live in 600,000 villages and 5,000 towns. These people do not have the same access to high quality education as the remaining 18% of India have. And this 82% or 1.3 crore people, let me tell you, is a lot of people. It's bigger than many countries put together, it's bigger than Europe. So, what's the problem which has been happening out here? As you look at it, you notice that the government in India started focusing significantly on education. And the last 50 years, we have made significant progress. All kids are in school. In every small village in the country, kids are in school. There is a school, there are teachers going there, and kids are in school. We have fantastic gender parity, which means that equal number of boys and girls are in school. It's 50 years back, we possibly had for every 2 boys in school, 1 girl in school. Today, equal number of boys and girls are in school. We achieve gender parity. And the beautiful part, all 95% of the children are completing primary school. This would indicate that yes, we have cracked child labor problems in the country and people are going out to school. It's possible and it's surely happening that 3-4% of the children are dropping out of school for various reasons. But what I want to focus on is 95% are completing primary school. Over this period of 50 years, the government has implemented multiple innovations, multiple fantastic innovations. Teacher compensation has been made on par. Teachers are paid really, really well, paid much higher than the per capita income of the country. We are recruiting really, really good teachers. The best amongst the people who apply for teaching jobs are taken and made as teachers. We also focus on infrastructure. Many better schools are being built, schools are being provided with computers, internet is happening, toilets are being built, food is being given. Many states have also been experimenting with activity-based curriculum. So primarily pedagogies that have got a lot of acceptance in the world have been coming down and they have been implemented. Teachers are being trained. Currently in many states, every teacher gets approximately 15 to 20 days of training a year. Teachers are motivated to go for training. Over the last 8 to 10 years, many organizations have also started working on school leadership capacity building, saying let's work on improving the capacity of the headmasters and the principals in the school, the block education officers who support the headmasters. So a lot of innovation. I have just put a few of them down here, but there's been tremendous amount of innovation in the country in the last few years. When you look at it and you say, are the kids actually reading well? And you look at the data and you realize that over the last 8 to 10 years, from 2006 to 2014, we have not been able to actually move the reading level of children. 40% of children in standard 3 are able to read standard 1 text. Just 40%. And we have not been able to move that at all. Are we doing better in math? And if you look at it, our performance in math is actually worse than the performance in English. Around 30% of children in class 3 are able to do subtraction, which is considered a class 1, class 2 exercise. 70% of kids finishing class 3 going into class 4 are not able to do subtraction. And all of us know that by class 3, class 4, if you haven't got the kids up to a certain level, and when they get into higher grades, life is going to get tougher and tougher for them. School's going to get tougher and tougher. What are the parents doing? The parents look at this and saying, hey, the system is not working for our children. And the people who have got money, they say, let's get our children to private schools. So they go to neighborhood private schools, they're putting some money in and sending children in. And over the last 10 years, you will notice that the number of children in India has moved from 20% in private schools all the way to 30% in private schools. There's a huge jump of children moving into private schools. And I keep showing the data for Karnataka here because that's the state which we work in, and we actually see some of these things happening. So my data is always showing you both India and Karnataka for that reason. Not substantial to say private schools are working. This actually is a very difficult one. What's going wrong? You know, people have been trying so many things, copying from different places, that sometimes you feel that we're just being insane. People are going mad because you're trying everything listed, and people are going mad, and we are unable to get different results. At Hippocampus, when we started, we said, we need to find something which is a scalable, affordable, and effective solution. Why I use the word scalable? Because I believe that whatever we do needs to work with a large number of children. It's very easy to create an island of excellence where you work with 2 schools, 5 schools, or something wonderful, but that doesn't scale. It needs to be affordable because the government of India cannot spend approximately 15,000-20,000 rupees per student per month. So you cannot be copying and replicating models which are possibly running for 100,000 rupees a month. It has to be in the range of 20,000 rupees. So what is that Hippocampus said? We said the problem is not so much about curriculum, teacher training, this, that. It's more about culture, attitude. So you have to understand, we're dealing with children and the parents who have gone to school and have not done well themselves. They're scared of school. They have seen their friends who have gone ahead in life because they've done well in school, and they always said that if my child does well in school, he will go ahead in life. So they start with putting pressure on their children. And there are teachers who have come from an ecosystem where they have been taught in a certain fashion, in an old-fashioned manner. They have had teachers who have not been supported. And you have teachers who have not been exposed to many innovative things. So how do you actually go about cracking this problem? At Hippocampus, we said we're going to take 3 different principles, and we're going to build an organization that's going to work on these 3 principles. The first principle is let's work on the teacher. Out here, a teacher is not somebody whom we hire because the teacher knows content, teacher is fantastic. We hire a teacher who's got the right attitude. We hire a teacher who wants to make children meet goals. And then we as an organization work with her and we motivate her and we give her tips and techniques on how to help children meet their goals. That was first principle, saying let's work with teachers who have the right attitude and approach. The second thing which we said was, why don't we work with parents and try to give parents a sense of optimism. They should not be benchmarking everything they do based upon what they see happening in examination results. They need to start looking at their child, appreciating the child for what the child is, and needs to be in a dialogue with the teacher to give, to think of individual strategies for their child and start looking at what is good in their child and not focus on what the child is not doing well. This looks very, very basic, very first principle. But you would be surprised to see how many parents in this world focus on what's wrong with their child and how they can improve their child. They don't focus on what's good in their child and how they can actually support and encourage the child to do better in what they are doing. The third thing we said is let's work on giving each child a sense of accomplishment. Let's teach to the child, let's work with the child, let's grade the child, a child who is struggling, let's support the child, let's give them small bite-sized goals to work on, and let's constantly nudge children with encouragement and motivation to keep going, one step ahead every day. Just give children personal accomplishment. These were three principles we worked with: the teacher, the parent, and the child. And we said if we worked on these three principles, could we actually start making a difference in the way children learn? Is there actually any potential to do something different? We started with the earliest program. It was very basic. We went into villages. We worked with children between 3 to 6 years old. We took a holistic activity based program. We recruited teachers from the village. We rented a space in the village and we ran the program there. We had this program operational in more than 200 villages. So you can think of this as 200 small homes rented right in the villages, recruiting local teachers and teaching children from the community. Then we said, and we were seeing fantastic results from this. Our children were actually performing at levels which were equivalent or better than what children in grade 3 were performing. We actually had a situation where teachers of children of grade 3, grade 4 were coming in with their children into our schools and saying, I have a child who's come into my school and I see this child doing really well, and I heard that he has come from your early years center. What are you guys doing different? I'm going to admit my child in here. So we were getting a lot of anecdotes on why Hippocampus program was doing very well. But in 2016, we said, let's commission a study with MIT JPAL, get a randomized controlled trial done. And we took 71 villages, 800 children, and we said, let's analyze and see how much difference our program is making. Children who came to Hippocampus were doing 0.82 standard deviations better than children who did not come to Hippocampus. In many ways, you could say that we were doubling a child's natural cognitive development. And if you look at the graph, we were showing significant improvement across multiple domains: math, language, memory, motor skills, reasoning, creativity. So across multiple domains, we were showing significant improvement. So at the end of class 1, we took all these 800 children and we started evaluating their learning. And what's very interesting, I look at N line 1, which is at the end of 2 years of kindergarten, the children who went to an Anganwadi were performing minus 1.4 standard deviations to a child who went to Hippocampus. Children who were staying at home were performing minus 0.8 lower than a child who went to Hippocampus. And the children who were going to some other kindergarten run by somebody else were performing at minus 0.4 standard deviations compared to a Hippocampus child. So across the board, you could see that Hippocampus has done significantly better with varying proportions. A year later, when we came into N line 2, which is end of class 1, you will notice that the children who were in Anganwadi or staying at home actually had bridged the gap significantly. Children who were going to some other kindergarten, they actually had dropped vis-a-vis the Anganwadi and staying at home, and also had dropped vis-a-vis Hippocampus. The gap was increasing. Now if we take a step back and think about it, you say, hey, isn't this contrary to what we expected? You would expect that a child who went to some other kindergarten would do better than somebody who stayed at home. And it got us thinking. It obviously looked at the academic practices that were being followed in these schools were actually not motivating the child to learn more. In the 2 years of kindergarten, we had managed to convince these children that you needed support, you were not self-learners, you were not up to the job. So we had managed to convince the children that this is not the way you should actually be going about learning. And because of just the 2 year of intervention, we had actually gone ahead and made them negative learners within a year. Whereas these poor children who were staying at home or were working in an Anganwadi, these children seem to have bridged the gap because there were no wrong influences, no extra influences making these children feel bad or negative. The Hippocampus program, the school program, is largely built on what we call the 7C program. And the 7C program is built around We fully understand that children need to go to school, need to learn, need to pass examinations, but we believe that the way you're going to create a good learning environment for these children, the way you're going to make children ready for the future is by focusing on the 7 C's, which are creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, communication, caring, cultural appreciation, and community engagement. All of these things need to be figured out and need to be introduced in school for these children to grow up and become ready for the world. If you notice that children in our schools are performing 20 points better than scholastic outcomes compared to an average by the testing agency called Grey Matter India. So they're performing 20 points across the board, whether the schools were rural, peri-urban, urban, they were performing 20 points better than the national average. And let me tell you, we were recruiting teachers in the same communities. The children came from similar communities. And what we think actually made the difference were the 3 principles I mentioned to you. The 3 principles: focusing on the teacher, her motivation, focusing on the parent, and focusing on the child. I think success is difficult because we're trying to overdo things. We're trying to over engineer. We forget the basic principles. We forget the power of what a teacher can do. We forget the power of what the right kind of parent encouragement, motivation can do for a child. And we forget many times what a child himself or herself is able to do. Thank you.